Come and take a ride.
Thank you for taking a ride on the Freedom Train podcast series. I am your host, Joseph Ward, and as always, ride with me is my homie, Mr. Patrick Irvin. And remember, the Freedom Train is brought to you by PAX Inc. That's PACTSINC. And PAX Inc. is a black development organization aimed at developing the black community to its maximum potential through a focus on education and economics with the trace of hard work, honesty, and integrity. For more information, make sure you visit www.pactsinc.org to learn more about the organization, codes of conduct, who's in the PAX family, the members, the donors, how you can donate to the organization and be able to help out, how to get involved, situational assistance, surveys, survival stuff, all that, and plus the educational center. So make sure you visit www.pactsinc.org where they get down for the black community. And as you know, while you're online, make sure you visit our Freedom Train website at www.freedomtrainradio.com. That way, for one thing, you can learn more about our Freedom Train Network app, which is available and live now in the Google Play Store. So if you got an Android phone, go ahead and go to the Google Play Store and type in Freedom Train Radio and download our app. And also we have live streaming where we can stream our shows live like a real network do. So go ahead and check the app out, or you can go to the website. You can check out the live streaming. Remember, the website is www.freedomtrainradio.com. And then you can also check out our weekly lineup where we get it in from Monday to Saturday. Monday through Saturday, we actually have shows Monday through Saturday. And coming soon, we're going to have shows Monday through Sunday. So go ahead, go to the radio, go to the website, rather, and check out everything that we have going on, our weekly lineups and all. And remember, our shows are available on our website, www.freedomtrainradio.com, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and social media, Facebook, Freedom Train Network, our page, Twitter, Freedom Train Net, Instagram, Freedom Train Network, YouTube, Freedom Train Network. We out here. How we get down? Pat.
Yo.
What it is?
Nothing much. It is
Man,
what it is.
Why we ain't go to the Essence Festival?
'Cause my essence is in me.
Ooh. But is it because we ain't cool?
It might be, 'cause I didn't even know the Essence Festival was happening.
Yeah, it just, I think this week or this weekend or whatever, I don't know. I want to go one year, but I got to remember about it. I got to plan for it. And I don't be thinking about it like that. I be wanting to go be around all them nice looking black women.
I only really had planned on going once, and that was when I was dating my wife, and that was to take her. But she was doing something that week or weekend or whatever it was, and I didn't really care. So we didn't go, and I didn't forgot about it ever since then, because I've been like, well, shit, I'm married now. Why do I got to try to take her at this point? So,
because that's how you keep the flame going. Ain't it?
Whatever.
Man, go get the essence of the Essence Festival to add to your essence so it can be more essential.
Flames ain't meant to burn forever. At some point, they got to die out.
Well, unless you get another match.
Just I seriously doubt that second match is going to be the Essence Festival. I could be wrong, but I doubt it.
Coachella.
I'm not doing Coachella.
Ain't that the
rich white people thing?
I don't know. I don't know what the hell Coachella is. I just know people say you can take it to Leola's Crab Shack.
I don't think we got one of those here.
I know it's right here in Tallahassee. I just did a plug for Leola's Crab Shack. So you know what I'm saying? Hey, them chicken wings be. I know it's a crab shack. They do got good seafood, but them chicken wings from Leola's, the chicken and fries, be busting, man.
So what you get for this plug?
Hopefully some chicken wings.
Hopefully some free chicken.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody at Leola's, man, hey, we out here talking about you. If you ever in Tallahassee, go to Leola's Crab Shack. It's at the corner of Saxon and Orange. If you country, Saxon and Orange. I'm telling you, over there about across from Nims Middle School, it go down.
Hey, do they cook their chicken in the same grease or whatever that they cook their crabs in?
Nah, because it don't taste like crabs or fish. It tastes like chicken.
Okay, cool, because I'm allergic to shellfish, and if I'm in town and I get some, I don't want to puff up and break out.
Nah, I feel you. You ain't gonna do that. I'm telling you, man, Leola's got you.
Cool. Hey, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Do you think that the black community really does display levels of homophobia to a large degree?
I don't think the black community displays level of homophobia any different than other communities, to be honest. I think black America's level. Well, first of all, let's reverse that. Homophobia ain't real. Let's just say that. They need to throw that word in the trash. But,
right, well, yeah, I agree with you. But
yeah.
Okay, so
no, I get you for the context. I don't think black America does it any more than any other community, because from what I've seen, from my vantage point, no community across the board accepts that. You have individuals within the community who accept it, but no community across the board. And to me, black America is just as conservative as all these other cultures. Like, America is a conservative place, even though we don't want to admit it. America is very conservative, but being conservative isn't necessarily a bad thing. But we look at people who are conservative as a bad thing because the conservative, like people like Trump, have the label of being conservative. But I mean, the dominant culture in America is what it is. It's white European culture, and the dominant culture is conservative, and everybody else feeds off this dominant culture. So from my vantage point, I don't think black America is any more egregious than any other community.
Well, I asked that because, and for those of you that haven't read the title, and I'm sure you have, our show is on HIV/AIDS today, and I'm reading through this report, and it says that one of the reasons, it's in this section, why are African Americans at higher risk? And this is a report from the CDC that was published January of this year, 2018, and it says, one of the reasons, it says is stigma, fear, discrimination, and homophobia. And I was just wondering to myself, I know. Go ahead.
No, finish what you're saying, man.
I was just saying to myself, I know that disapproval or not accepting the lifestyle of gay people is in the community. And this is just me as a straight man, so of course a gay person would have a different perspective. I haven't seen a level of crazy hate towards gay people. Most of the people that I've seen, that I've interacted with, that I've talked to, and I talk to everybody I can about this issue, that if we have a conversation, eventually I'll find a way to bring it around to how do you feel about homosexuality. And I say 90 to 95% of the people I talk to are like, I really don't care as long as you ain't trying to screw me. So every time I see like homophobia, and I agree with you, homophobia, like nobody's scared. Nobody has an unrational fear of homosexuals. But, you know, is that hate of gay people?
I would say
because you work with the community in your job and stuff like that, you're more familiar with the reactions that they get denying.
Yeah, I would call it homo fuckboyness or homo ignorance and stuff like that instead of homo phobia, because like you said, nobody's afraid of anybody who's LGBTQ. They're not afraid. You got some people who just dumbasses, and some people who just don't agree with the lifestyle. So I mean, but one of the biggest things to me that contributes to the number of new HIV cases within the black community, especially black men who have sex with men. So you'll be hearing us use the term MSM. Whenever you're hearing us use this term, it's a public health term men who have sex with men. Same thing as down low men. Same thing as men who have sex with men and women, but don't tell the women that they have sex with men. Or some of them tell the women that they have sex with men, but it's basically a man who has sex with men. So MSM. So education across the board, sex is still not being taught, especially in the Bible Belt South. I live in the Bible Belt South. You live in a bit of the Bible Belt South, but
hey,
most
man,
of it
North
is,
Carolina is more Bible Belt than Florida is.
and that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like from the outside in. But you from here, it's conservative. Yeah. Look, we can't even have a strip club in this city. And they don't even have a good excuse for why not. It's just shit, because we South, goddammit. But
well,
let me
clarify, because you're right. You're in North Florida. North Florida is Bible Belt. Mm-hmm. South Florida is not.
Right. So, I'm in real Florida. I'm not in TV Florida. But I do think stigma, I'm gonna use stigma rather than homophobia, but stigma and lack of education are two of the main things from what I've observed over the last 10 years. Cause I do HIV. For those who don't know, I do HIV/AIDS outreach, education, training, prevention, all that. I've been doing it since 2009. Yeah, so 9-10 years, and people are not being taught how to have sex. They're not being taught how to have safe sex. They're not being if you have a family who suspected that black son is gay, they're not going to teach him how to have safe sex. Because remember, the men and women, first of all, men and women are taught differently about sex, how to have sex, how to protect themselves when it comes to sex. Men are told, don't bring babies home. Women are told, don't have sex. And if you do have sex, you a hoe. But men can be hoes. But they got to remember, you can't give your son a license to go be a hoe, and then nobody's teaching their daughters to protect themselves, and you keep telling your daughter not to have sex. But these boys fucking somebody. You can't be a hoe by yourself. You're just a masturbator then. You're a chronic masturbator. You're not a hoe, right? But if you're having sex, who you having sex with? So if they're not having sex with girls, they're having sex with guys. Nobody wants to talk about anal sex, whether it's from a homosexual standpoint or the heterosexual standpoint. Nobody wants to talk about anal sex, and people need to take a look at statistics and pay attention to trends and really get into this anal sex conversation with their sons and daughters, because you have more and more, especially young black girls, having anal sex to mask the fact that they're having sex. Because if you go get a pap smear and they check the vagina and the hymen's still intact and all these other things, but she giving head and having sex in the butt. And for all, if you're a teen and you listening and you doing that, you're not a virgin. You have sex. But it's the lack of education and ignorance and stigma that, to me, that causes these rates to be outrageous.
Now, what you said is interesting, because that's something that I've heard white girls say all the time. You know, they have anal sex, or they have, and this is something I've literally heard out of the mouths of white girls, especially when I was in college. You know, that they would have anal sex so that they were still a virgin for their husband, or you know, they would give you oral sex, but you couldn't penetrate them vaginally. So you're saying now that is starting to show up in the black community as well, or has it always been there and we just haven't been aware? What are you saying?
It could have very well have always been there and we just didn't know. Or it's something that we just recently started to adopt, because I'm here in Tallahassee, I'm in the college town, and I have direct access to the HIV/AIDS health educators and testers on all three campuses, FAMU, FSU, and TCC. Matter of fact, we are, for right now, myself and my supervisor, we are the testers and educators for FAMU right now. And we have a direct contact. Matter of fact, we meet with the lady from FSU tomorrow. But I know for a fact from these stories that because we as counselors, we're constantly sharing information, and from both campuses, black and white girls, but I've been hearing a lot more stories from like FAMU campus of young black girls having anal sex, and been hearing it from the middle schools and high schools as well. Young black girls are having anal sex and it's unsafe. So you're going to see a rise in HIV in that, but in the black male community, nobody's talking about that. Nobody's teaching their sons. Even if you suspect your son to be homosexual, you're not teaching them how to have safe anal sex. Send them off to college, send them out in the world. He has unprotected anal sex with somebody who has HIV that didn't tell them they have HIV. And HIV and the transmission of HIV, they're trying to decriminalize on the national scale, but we'll come back to that later. But it's a disaster waiting to happen when you send your child, whether male or female, but especially if your child is having anal sex. If you send your child in the world who's having anal sex, you increase their risk of contracting HIV, especially if you haven't taught.
Now, what you just said is real too, because like you have to be taught how to have anal sex. That ain't just something that come natural. Like vaginal sex, you need to be taught how to do that as well. But for the most part, you can at least figure out how to do it without killing yourself or harming yourself. You know, you put this in there and then you go. Anal sex ain't that simple because the butthole ain't meant to receive anything coming into it from that size. So, like, I was speaking from experience. When I was younger, I tried anal sex without neither one of us knew what we were doing. It did not work out.
I thought about it too. Like, I guess I'm glad I had a condom on, and when I tried to penetrate the girl in the anus, I'm glad, you know, because for me it was trial. It wasn't success because neither one of us knew what we were doing. We didn't understand lubrication. You know, but think about it though, man. Doc, this is how HIV is spread from one person to the next. You have an unprotected anal sex, you ain't lubed the person up at all, and you trying to shove yourself in there, and especially if the person know that they positive. Let me read some stats to you real quick that I'm looking for in the CDC. Right, it has a pie chart of the distribution of the percentage of HIV throughout the country based off of sexual preference or just most effective transmission methods, right? So 68% is among gay and bisexual men, 23% is among heterosexuals, and 9% is among people who inject drugs. So the number of people who are contracting HIV through needle sharing nationally has dropped tremendously, and it's increased tremendously through anal sexual practices. And then look at this new HIV diagnosis in the United States for the most affected subpopulations. And of course, you know, everything is 2 years behind, so these 2016 stats, which are relevant to now. But the 10,223 black male-to-male sexual contact, 7,425 Hispanic male-to-male contact, 7,390 white male-to-male contact. Then you have black woman heterosexual contact. Then black woman heterosexual contact is at 4,189. Black men heterosexual contact, 1,926. White women heterosexual contact, 1,032. Hispanic, Latino women heterosexual contact, 1,025. And so we know that, like say, the vagina was made to be penetrated. The anus wasn't. But one of the best things to prevent the transmission of HIV and prevent the tearing of any tissue is proper lubrication. People have to be properly lubricated. And if you don't know a damn thing about sex, you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, and even with those statistics you just read. Now, and I'm going to go back down to this section before I get into those statistics. Because I was reading this part, and this part to me sounded really trashy with regards to why African Americans are at higher risk. And looking at, I will say this one statistic where it says, you know, black people make up 12% of the population, but 44% of new HIV diagnoses. This is an issue. And then you go into, but I'm going to read this line word for word. It sounded jacked up to me, so I don't want to paraphrase it. I want you to be able to be like, well, nah, Pat, that ain't jacked up. So it says, a higher percentage of African Americans are living with HIV compared to other races and ethnicities. Because African Americans tend to have sex partners of the same race, they have a greater chance of coming in contact with the HIV. Now, to me, that almost makes it sound like they saying black people that fuck black people are more likely to contract HIV. It's almost like a promotion of not fucking black people.
Yeah. Well, that's a uncomfortable truth. I would have worded it different because to
So
me
it's
they're
just
leaving
the
out.
wording, right? Right.
Yeah, it's the wording. It's the wording because the percentage of HIV in Black America is higher than any other group. Now, the number of people who have HIV, white America, I personally believe, I haven't had any, I need to find the stats, but I personally believe, this is just my opinion, that there are more people by number in the white population that have HIV, but there's a higher percentage of blacks who have HIV. But one of the main issues that makes it cautious for black people to having sex with black people is our continuous lack of education and lack of change in culture. I say this at work when I'm talking to people, and I hate saying it, but especially in the state of Florida, like Georgia, a black woman who's having sex with black men have a higher chance of contracting HIV in some places. And it's not because black people are fucked up. It's not just because we black. No. It's because there's a virus in our community, and across the board, black people, we're not taking it as serious as we should because we don't want to talk about sex. We don't want to talk about HIV. We don't want to talk about homosexuality. We don't want to talk about anal sex. We don't want to talk about oral sex. We don't want to talk about these things. And think about it. If your parents don't know how to have sex, how they going to teach you how to have sex? Because just because y'all got five siblings and stuff don't mean your parents know what they're doing. Your mama might hate having sex with your daddy. Your daddy might hate having sex with your mama, but they have sex because they can't have sex with nobody else, and they having sex, or they can, or whatever. But that don't mean that they can properly teach you, or they even have the guts to teach you. So it's the factors that I feel that they left out of that. That's kind of bullshit. Because we're leaving that statement like that. It makes it seem like black people are incompetent, and black people aren't incompetent. Because I mean, like black women get tested more than any other population, than anybody else. Black women care, and black people, we care about our health, but it's the lack of education. And Black America, as far as education, resources, and all those things, Black America is still 20 years behind white America.
Yeah, no, I know that's true. Black America, when it comes to the whole healthcare field, all of it, with mental health included, we're behind the curve, extremely behind the curve, and the sad part about that is we aren't taking any steps to make up ground because a lot of the information we get is secondhand, and it's based off studies that were done on groups that don't include black people. So
yeah.
I did find I thought I had it, but I can't find it now. But I'm going to see if I can find it, because when you said what you said about the raw numbers, I went and looked it up. And it looks like even population-wise, there are more black people with HIV than white people. But again, I can't find. My computer did something funky, and now I'm trying to go through my history to bring the tab back up. But if what I read briefly is true, then that makes it even more alarming, because there are 3 or 4 times more white people in America than black people. And so if we still have more raw number of people with AIDS than they do, and you know how I feel about the whole comparison thing. Comparisons really, do we have too many people with HIV? That's the answer. Or that's the question.
That's right. And we do. Like our rates are outrageous. But
I'm not going to. I still feel that way. But when you look at, if you do want to look at comparisons, and to say there are 45 million black people in America, and there are 220 million white people in America, and there are still more black people with HIV than white people, that shows that there's a lot going on that needs to be dissected.
Right. Because like I said, we're not incompetent. Even though I've been in meetings and where white people are asking that question. Like, are black people sexually incompetent? And, then the meetings where you got to catch yourself and not cuss them crackers out.
Maybe
but it's like,
be cursed out.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, you got a job to do. I understand.
Yeah. No, but now, because when they say that, I think about like two girls, one cup when they say that. Like, y'all eat doo-doo. I mean, so black people are not like sexually incompetent. It's our cultural and social norms aren't conducive with our overall. Because I mean, think about it, man. We ain't got diabetes under control. We finna get HIV under control. Like some places that you go to, like you can go into some health centers, and everybody in the health center unhealthy. So we have bad health practices across the board, and the STDs is piling on. Like it's really unfairly piling on. So and then we live in an oversexed country as well, and then black people have been viewed and engineered to be oversexed as well. But just check this out. So from this map that I'm looking at HIV rates per 100,000 people, Georgia has the highest, and then Louisiana, and then Florida, and then Nevada, and then look like Maryland. And then you go to states like Maine, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Texas, Arizona, California, and everybody else. All right. But Florida is like HIV diagnosis per 100,000 people. Florida is like Georgia is 31.8, Louisiana is 29.7, Florida is 28. But it's like to me, what's going on in Black America is a microcosm of what's going on in America as a whole. But what makes it bad is these are our people. These are things that we can do differently, but we have to choose to do different. We have to learn, like safe sex. Like we got to relearn and re-engineer ourselves on how we interact. We need to understand what HIV is. It's a bloodborne pathogen. We need to understand how it's transmitted, usually through sexual contact, unprotected sexual contact, or needle sharing. It has to get into your bloodstream. So that means something has to be tore. So if you're having vaginal sex and you contract HIV, something was tore. If you're having anal sex and you contract HIV, something was tore. It's easier for the receiver. I'm not going to say the woman. It's easier for the receiver to contract HIV rather than the giver. But you know what? I will say the woman, because it's hard for a vagina to bruise up a penis, but it's easier for a penis to bruise up and create tearing in the vagina. So all those factors and all that knowledge has to be taken into account on how you protect yourself. Even like STDs, like straight up regular STDs. Like we still got people who chancing it, just raw dog, like just we had like one dude who went up the whole East Coast just raw dogging in every state he went in. He wasn't black, but we just talking about sexual habits. Like black people, we don't talk about stuff. We don't take stuff serious until it becomes epidemic level. Then we still don't take it serious because you guys still got some people who your kids in their 20s, you don't believe your child have sex.
Well, here, all right. So I haven't found the raw numbers that I was looking for, but I did find this from the U.S. statistics site. It basically says there are more than 1.1 million people in the U.S. living with HIV today.
That we know of.
That we know of, right. And about 480,000 of them are black. So
our numbers are ridiculous, especially like in Atlanta.
That's crazy. When you add, that's damn near half of it. And then, so yeah, I think it definitely, yeah, I think. But you know what's crazy about that? is that it exists. I'm not even gonna get like that. Doesn't need to be broken down anyway.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
crazy.
Yeah. Like so Black America, what the hell are we gonna do about it? Like for real, like let's get off the bullshit, Black America. Let's quit the fuck shit. Let's quit the fuck shit. What are we